Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast Patreon exclusive content episode. Once again, I am your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it is great to have you guys here once again on this Thursday. So I just got wrapped up with the live portion of today's show. We talked about a couple of different things, a few different things. We got into talking about the NFC South. I talked about that division, how it's, wide open. Really, at this point, it's like, who knows who's going to win that. In the next two segments, I talked about some of the injuries around the league. We talked about Tyreek Hill and the impact that, him missing the game could have on this game on Sunday against the Patriots for the Dolphins. I talked about Tua's, stats with and without Tyreek Hill, and he's a much different quarterback, without Tyreek Hill. Well, the interceptions were the same, but the touchdowns were higher, passer rating, everything like that was all up, and it makes sense. Obviously, when you add that kind of player to your team, it's obviously gonna, you're obviously going to be a different player with that. And, he's done well with Tyreek Hill. We also talked about Brock Purdy being put into concussion protocol. So I talked about that. Sam Darnold is in line to start on Sunday. So we talked about that. And then we finished off the show by previewing the game tonight between the Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, that was pretty much the show today. The one thing I talked about with the Purdy thing is, the 49ers really like Sam Darnold, and I talked about, is it possible that if he plays well, and if Purdy comes back and he struggles, is it possible that Sam Darnold could maybe take the starting job from Brock Purdy? Is it possible? I mean, I think it kind of is. It all depends on how... I mean, if Sam Darnold goes out there against the Bengals and does terrible, then this conversation doesn't mean anything. But I think if Sam Darnold plays good and Brock Purdy, struggles, I mean, it's a possibility they might move... They might put Sam Darnold in the starting role. I mean, because, this is Sam Darnold's, best supporting cast that he will be with. Now, he's going to be without Deebo Samuel. I don't know. I know Trent Williams is questionable, but you get him back. Really, all you're missing is Deebo. So, I'm curious to see how Sam Darnold is going to do, with this loaded supporting cast that he has around him. Excuse me. So, I'm really looking forward to, how that all... plays out. And the Bengals obviously are coming off of a bye. So, that's definitely, they're rested. Burrow is still dealing with the calf injury, but again, the bye definitely helps. Gave it some more time to heal up. But I'm excited for this game. This is one of the better games this weekend. 49ers need to win this game. They just have to, because you're coming off of back-to-back road losses. You're at home. I said this on the live portion. I'm curious to see how is the defensive front of the Niners going to do, because they just could not get any pressure on Kirk Cousins whatsoever on Monday. So is this going to be a bounce-back game for the Niners? Are they going to wake up defensively? And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy because you're going up against... Now, the Vikings, they didn't have Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison had his best game as a pro. They couldn't really, they had problems covering Hawkinson. Now you're going up against the Bengals with their full array of weapons, with Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. Are they, how are they going to do? If they can get pressure on Burrow, then, like, you know, the defense is going to be fine. But if Burrow has time to throw, I think we might see something similar to what we saw on Sunday. Bengals are going to move the ball against the Niners. So we'll see. I mean, the line went from 5.5 to now 3.5. So, you know, obviously, you know, with Purdy being out, change some things. Definitely is going to be a closer game. Yeah, because I was leaning towards taking the Niners, even with the 5.5. But, well, I mean, I was still, like, you know, up in the air with it. But now Purdy's out, and you got Darnold in there, and you don't really know what to expect. I mean, you don't really know what to expect with a lot of these games. I mean, there are a lot of quarterbacks that are, you know, getting hurt. I mean, Purdy. You got Tannehill, who's, you know, gonna miss this game on Sunday. Will Levis is starting. I think you know, Deshaun Watson, it's still up in the air whether he's gonna play or not. So we might see P.J. Walker again. You got Tyrod Taylor, who's probably gonna start again for the Giants over Daniel Jones. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else off the top of my head. I think that's it as of right now. But still, like, you know, there's you know, quarterbacks this year have been dealing with injuries. So, oh yeah, also Fields. Yeah, that's another one. Fields, Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, I don't think Garoppolo. Well, I think he actually is coming back on Monday. But we'll get into that, you know, when we preview that game on Monday, the Raiders and the Lions. I'd think about that for a second, but yeah, Raiders will be in Detroit to play the Lions. Yeah, there's a you know, a good chunk of quarterbacks that you know, are hurt right now. So, you know, it's again, injuries stink, you know, and we talked about the Tyreek Hill injury and that situation. And obviously, you know, if Tyreek Hill is out, that definitely, you know, changes a lot, you know, on both sides. You know, then the Patriots don't have to key in on him. Then they just try to take Waddle out of the game, and Tua has to beat them. You know, throwing it to other people, and you know, obviously, Mostert was dealing with some injuries as well. They're already without Achane, who's going to come back after the bye week for the Dolphins. You know, I said, you know, on the show, is it possible the Patriots could maybe upset the Dolphins? And again, like, I also did say how you don't want to fall into the trap of, you know, after one game, you're like, well, yeah, that could definitely happen. Patriots could definitely win. They just beat the Bills. But the thing is, you don't want to jump the gun there and, you know, just declare like, oh, yeah, the Patriots are back. You know, but I definitely think you got to take into account a little bit, at least, what happened on Sunday. I mean, the Patriots won a football game. Mac Jones played well. The defense turned the ball, got turnovers. That's definitely something you got to at least take something out of it. Because the Patriots looked like they couldn't beat anybody except the Jets. You know, they get blown out by the Saints. They get blown out by the Cowboys. You know, they lose to the Dolphins. They lose to the Eagles, although they were competitive in both of those games. But yeah, I mean, now they're going on the road. I mean, they haven't played particularly well in Miami the last couple of years. So I'm not. We'll have to wait and see. You know, I think people would take right now the Bills defense over the Dolphins defense. So now, you know, they're going up against the Dolphins, who actually on Sunday were missing their top two corners. There was no Xavier Howard, and obviously they're still waiting for Ramsey to come back. You know, obviously big trade acquisition in the offseason from the from the Rams. So they're waiting for him to come back. But yeah, the Patriots haven't played particularly well in Miami, so I don't know. But without Tyreek Hill, it's going to be a little tough. It's going to be tough. And then obviously you have the game tonight. We talked about that. Bills and Bucks. The Bucks. I think if they lose, it's not like the worst thing in the world because they still have a shot at the division. But they started off the season 3-1, and honestly, I felt good about them. And they beat the Saints on the road, which I didn't expect. Really did not expect. And the way the Falcons were playing, I just was like, yeah, the Bucks could beat them. Falcons went into Tampa and beat them. And that was with their quarterback turning the ball over a few times. And the Bucks offense just really has not looked good the last couple of weeks. And it's a team that struggles to score points. And now you're going up against the Bills team that has been struggling to score points as well. But eventually they're going to figure it out. And tonight could be the game that happens. The Bucks, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the Bills if the Bills figure it out tonight. But what's going to keep the Bucks in it is their defense. The Bucks still have a very good defense. It's just they struggle to score points. They're not a good team when it comes to running the football. So I said on the show that this game is going to be won by throwing it. Because, listen, the Bills are better running the football this year. James Cook's having a good year. But ultimately, what's the strength of the team? It's the Bills throwing it. And maybe we see Josh Allen running the football a little bit more tonight as well. Because I did talk about that as well. That Josh Allen's not running like he used to. I think that still needs to be a part of his game. Because that also is a part of his game that makes him special. But you can't go... The thing is, you can't go all in one way or all in on the other. You got to, it's got to be a little bit of a balance. Because I think when you watch Josh Allen run, sometimes, when he slides or he gets hit, yeah, you don't want to see that. Because eventually he's going to end up like Cam Newton. Cam Newton took a lot of hits over the years. And eventually that, took a toll on his body. And, yeah, he just ended up declining because of it. We don't want to see the same thing happen with Josh Allen. But it's a part of his game. He's special when he runs the football. And they got to incorporate that more into the offense. But that should not be, but you shouldn't overdo it. If that makes sense. But I expect the Bills to win this game. I think that this is a get-right game for them. It's a tough defense. I understand that. Josh Allen's been turning the ball over. I'm not going to be surprised if this game ends up being close. But the Bucs struggle to score points. They can't run the ball well. Now, the Bills aren't the greatest defense when it comes to the run this year. They were middle of the pack when I looked. They're good against the pass. So I think the Bucs are going to turn the ball over too at points during the game. I think the Bills should win by 2 scores. I said 30-20. But it's just crazy because, they destroy Miami. And you're thinking, here we go. And then after that, they go to London. They didn't play well. They didn't play well against the Giants. And then they, again, didn't play well against the Patriots. Although they, had the lead. But then, the Patriots went down the field and scored a touchdown to win the game. The Giants game, that was bad. You didn't score any points until the fourth quarter. Giants should have won that game. But listen, I think, people are concerned about the Bills. And listen, I don't know if they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know how far they're going to go in the playoffs. A lot of people think they might not even make it. Some people might think they might not even make the playoffs. I think they will. But you saw what they did against Miami. That is what they're capable of. So I think as long as that's there, they're going to figure it out. Their ceiling is what they did against Miami. That's how good they can be. I think that, again, it's just teams are going through it right now. The NFL this year, especially, is week to week. You have no idea what you're going to get. You have no clue. You may think you do, but you don't. Look at me with predictions. Like, again, go back and watch me make picks. Straight up, it's a little bit better. It's better than, picking against the spread. But my spread picks have been awful. Can't figure anything out. I really don't have a gauge on what, certain teams are right now. So, but I listen, people are concerned with the Bills. I think the Bills will be fine. They're going to be a playoff team, and they're going to be a team that you're not going to want to face. Now, are they the favorites to win the Super Bowl? No. Not right now. I can't say that this is a team that's going to go to the Super Bowl. But this team will definitely make the playoffs. I would be shocked if they don't make the playoffs. But, they got some things they got to figure out right now. Their quarterback's turning the ball over, and that's a big problem. I mean, right away, first play from scrimmage, and Josh Allen throws a pick. It's not good. But you're going up against a team that has struggled to score points the last couple of weeks. Now, again, they just went up against a team that was dealing with the same issue, the Patriots. But the Patriots beat them. But again, that's a road game, divisional opponent. Now you're playing the Bucs. I think they should win by 2 scores. And like I said, for the Bucs, it's not the worst. You're not in a terrible spot if you lose this game, because the division is still wide open. I mean, it just is. I don't know who's going to win that division. I mean, we talked about it in the opening. Who is going to win that division? Right now, it's the Falcons. Next week, it could be the Bucs again. It could be the Saints. But none of these teams look great right now. You got the Falcons. Desmond Ritter's turning the ball over a lot. The Bucs are struggling to score points. The Saints, both. Well, I mean, listen, they scored. They almost tied the Jags last week. That game could have went into overtime. The Saints haven't looked great. Defense hasn't looked that good. Still a solid unit, but hasn't looked good. So right now, it's really anybody's division, except for the Panthers. But, if the Panthers could have stole, a couple of their games, they'd be in the conversation too. I mean, let's not forget. I keep bringing it up, but they were up 14-0 against Miami. Then they got outscored 42-7. They're coming off of a bye. Maybe that helped. Maybe they start to, I mean, I don't think they're going to, lose every single game this year. They got to win at least, one, right? I think this team can win some games. But, obviously they got a rookie quarterback. So, he's got to continue to develop. He's got a nice rapport with Adam Thielen. I mean, Adam Thielen has looked like one of the best wide receivers in football this year, well, at least in fantasy. And he's having a great year. And this is an older Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is now, I think, 33. And the Vikings let him go. And he's doing great where he is. Now, the Vikings replaced him with Jordan Addison, who's been great. So, you can't really, I mean, listen. The Vikings, they let go of Diggs. They drafted Justin Jefferson. They let go of Thielen. They replaced him with Jordan Addison. Yeah, I think the Vikings have done okay letting those two guys go. But yeah, when it comes to the South and the NFC, I mean, right now, like I said, like Thielen's doing good with the Panthers. They got a nice rapport, but Panthers, until you win a game and maybe you string some wins together, then maybe you're in the conversation. But right now they're not in the conversation, and it's unfortunate because the division isn't great. Whoever comes out of this division is getting knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, I think. And all these teams have talent. These teams have good defenses, but the quarterback play recently, Baker was playing well last couple of weeks, not so much, but Derek Carr and Desmond Ridder have been. I mean, Desmond Ridder's been inconsistent. Derek Carr has been bad. Desmond Ridder's been bad, but. They show flashes. You're like, oh, there we go. And then they do some. I mean, Desmond Ridder fumbled the ball 3 times on Sunday. Derek Carr's not on the same page with his receivers. I mean, he's yelling at Olave, what are you doing? And meanwhile, the ball is is way out of bounds when he threw it. Like, what do you want Olave to do? But Saints fans, they've been complaining about the offensive coordinator. Falcons definitely need a new quarterback, I think. I don't think Desmond Ridder's the guy. But, again, I mean, there's still plenty of season left, so he could go out there and play well and prove me wrong. But right now, I don't think so. I don't think he's the guy. Because the Falcons, on offense, they have a ton of playmakers. But they need a quarterback. So we'll see. Saints, I mean, you get Derek Carr, you think he's the answer right now. Not looking like it. And that's who a lot of Jet fans wanted. A lot of Jet fans wanted Derek Carr, and I said, listen, you either go out and get Aaron Rodgers or the other name too that was thrown out there, Lamar Jackson. Those are your 2 best options. Derek Carr is going to come in, and Derek Carr is not going to get you to a Super Bowl. Now, who knows? I mean, the Jets' defense has looked really good. So you never know, but I think that what the Jets did getting Aaron Rodgers, that was the right move. Now, we could not have predicted what happened, but yeah, Derek Carr doesn't look great. But yeah, I mean, last year I just was like, yeah, I don't really know how I feel about this. And the Saints, they haven't been the same team. They weren't the same without Sean Payton, so I don't know. And Derek Carr throws for a lot of yards. He's throwing the ball way too many times. But they got to figure something out because, I mean, they're just checking it down to Kamara. It's just, I mean, the defense giving up big plays. And you would think the Saints play better than this. Saints got a lot of talent on their team. Arguably the most talent in their division. I mean, people would probably look at the Falcons and probably say their offense, with their skill position players are better than, the Saints. The Bucs, I mean, they got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and then outside of that, Rashad White's been bad. But you'd probably say it's either the Falcons or the Saints, collectively, because you would take the running backs for those 2 teams over what the Bucs have. I mean, I'd probably take Derek Carr over Desmond Ridder. I think most people would do the same thing. Baker and Derek Carr might be a little bit of a toss-up. I think maybe you give the slight edge to Derek Carr, maybe. But again, not by that much. And Baker was playing well. It's just the last 2 games. The Lions didn't play well. Falcons didn't play well. I thought the Falcons game would have been a good bounce back, but I mean, again, that just goes to show you a lot of these teams are very inconsistent this year. I mean, that's the bottom line. And that's why, like, I mean, I have no idea. I don't know how this season's really gonna. I mean, I could give you what I think, but again, the way I've talked about what I think, it doesn't go the way I think, so I know nothing. I mean, who knows? I talk about these three teams. I discount the Panthers. All of a sudden, maybe the Panthers get hot and they find themselves, in the division conversation. But time will tell. Time will tell. We're at the halfway point. Trade deadline is coming up, so we'll see if any trades are made. Any big trades? I mean, there'll definitely be trades, but are there going to be any big, significant trades? I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Obviously, I want to remind you guys again, tomorrow we got the doubleheader tomorrow. We got the football podcast, the live portion. That will be 11 a.m. Eastern time. Stream for an hour. Do the Patreon shortly after that. And then we will do the GSMC baseball podcast. So I will preview the World Series tomorrow. I'll recap the championship series in both leagues. Some other headlines as well. Managerial changes. Also general manager. Some shifts there as well. So we'll get into all that. That'll be tomorrow's show. And yeah, I mean, tomorrow's Friday. Another week down, which, again, crazy how fast these weeks go. They just go faster and faster. But yeah, make sure to, look at some of the other shows. I'm going to have yesterday's show, reposted into the 4 parts. So in case you missed anything, it'll be up there. But obviously all the live streams are up, so you can also, look through them. But yeah, once again, I thank you guys for, for tuning in. Like I said, doubleheader tomorrow. Make picks. Preview all the games for Week 8. Recap the game from tonight. And then, for the baseball show, we'll recap the championship series and preview the World Series, which starts tomorrow. And then once, that's over, baseball's done for a while. So, yeah, that's pretty much it on another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast Patreon exclusive content episode. Once again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. I'll see you then. And, yeah, until then, once again, I'm Kenneth Gruenfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast Patreon exclusive content episode brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Once again, have a good day, guys. Enjoy the game tonight. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast doubleheader, football and baseball. So until then, take care, and I'll see you then.